The barrage of global warming propaganda is insane, and no wonder children are crying in the street. I mean, you take this unbelievable tripe that was in the Sydney Morning Herald today. This writer, Mark Mordew, it's about the end of the world because there's smoke from fires. I grew up in the country, you know, smoke from a fire, oh, big deal. But for him, I can't breathe. They say something like 100 bush and grass fires are raging across the state. The city I live in feels like a scene from Blade Runner. Come to life in 2019. There's no other way to see it. Our dead future is here. For God's sake, get a grip, man. Next Christmas, you'll feel like a fool thinking about how you lost it this Christmas. But on the ABC, in just one 12-hour period, unbelievable, same hysteria. Some of the alarmism, just starting with Q&A last night. Malcolm Turnbull, global warming means hotter fires, which is false. An academic, Brian Schmidt, this unfolding disaster. An activist from Africa, short-termism on global warming is sacrificing my 8-year-old and 11-year-old's futures. And then there's Tony Jones and Patricia Turner and now Anthony Albanese. And then this morning, starting again, ABC Radio, Hamish MacDonald, Australia has scored 0 out of 100 for its climate policies. And ACTU President Michelle O'Neill, climate crisis. On they went. Just Tennant Reid, Matt Bevan, David Crowe, tweets from ABC presenter Wendy Harmer and others. She was a cracker though. It's so hard to look at your child in the eye and assure them, don't worry, darling, things will get better soon, when you know damn well they won't. That's one of the terrible burdens of climate emergency. You have to say, have Australians gone stark, staring mad? And there's always a politician to exploit hysteria like this. In this case, New South Wales Environment Minister Matt Keane, saying climate change is causing more extreme weather events and is kissing away New South Wales coal industry and its 75,000 coal-reliant jobs. He said, to those with vested interests and ideologies that want to stand in the way of this transition to green energy, I say, enjoy your Kodak moment, because the energy iPhone is on the way. So far that iPhone looks like blackouts to me, but never mind. Joining me on the panel is Jessica Yu, a former political advisor to people like Prime Minister Tony Abbott. She's now with Council House. And Daniel Wild, Director of Research at the Institute of Public Affairs. What's going on here, Daniel?
Andrew, out of control. Fortunately, the Australian people are the ones going stark raving mad. It's the political class and the politicians. I want to know where Gladys Berejiklian is on this, by the way. If that's the New South Wales Environment Minister, is that New South Wales government policy? Is that what's where is the leadership on this, Andrew? Where's the leadership on the coal jobs? Where's the leadership on pushing back against this hysteria? The most important point, Andrew, is that climate change is not causing these bushfires. The Australian government's policy on climate change is not causing these bushfires. The New South Wales government's policy on climate change is not causing these bushfires. Why isn't there anyone in our political realm making these points to push back against this hysteria?
Jessica, just a good question there from Daniel. Where is the Premier on this pushing back? I mean, she's got the Environment Minister saying, coal, the whole coal industry, 75,000 jobs involved. That's just a Kodak moment. That's gone. I mean, where is she?
Yeah, look, I think that, Matt Keane is the Energy Minister, and even if he wanted the coal industry to disappear, it's not going to disappear. But on the Premier and Matt Keane and other Liberal ministers, the fact is, at the current time, we have a lot of safe Liberal seats where the core coalition values are not reflected in those safe Liberal seats on climate change. And so you're going to have a lot of interesting moments where Liberal ministers like Matt Keane or even Gladys would come out to say things like this and defend renewable energy in this instance. But I think the key thing to remember here is emissions in Australia are irrelevant globally. So I think the focus here should be redirecting back to things like the National Hydrogen Strategy, where we are actually exporting methods of renewable energies and give jobs to Australians. So I think that actually should be the better trope coming from the coalition.
Listen, if you think a country can turn down the world temperature and stop fires, say it to China. They're the biggest emitters by far. We're a little pygmy in this race. Look, Jessica just made me feel even worse. I thought he was just an environment minister. She's telling me, he's the energy minister, for heaven's sake. That's even terrible. But listen, overnight we got another scary report marking us, a German set of environmental groups saying we're among the 5 worst countries in the world for global warming policies because one of our sins was saying yes to the Adani coal mine. What do you make of this?
Andrew, we don't need unelected internationalist bureaucrats from Germany telling us what our energy or climate policy should be. This report has no facts, it has no value, it should be thrown in the bin. I'll give you an example.
No rubbish, it was all over the ABC this morning.
Exactly. That's my point, Andrew.
Oh, that's a great national bin, is it?
Let me make this point, Andrew, that on one of they have a few different metrics in there to dress up the methodology, of course. One of the metrics is to do with domestic climate policy. Australia ranked bottom. Guess where China ranked, Andrew? 10th. China ranked 10th. So
they're increasing their emissions.
Under the Paris Agreement, Andrew, Australia has the deepest cuts to emissions per capita. China is going to increase its emissions by 150%. Australia is bottom. China is 10th. If that doesn't make you think that this is a highly questionable, dubious methodology,
that is such a joke.